Hello everyone, and welcome back to Storytime with JRP. We've been continuing our book, Laurence Grey, Secret of the Lost Roanoke Colony. We are now in our second week of reading this incredible story, and we are currently in Chapter 8. So, if you're just joining us, head back to Chapter 1 so you don't miss any crucial details. So, a brief recap of where we are so far. Historian Laurence Grey and his son Jason discovered a top-secret government website, but just the mere accessing of it sent the SWAT to their house and accused them of being international terrorists. So they were both thrown back into an armored car, but the dad escaped, Laurence, and his son, Jason, remained in the car. So Laurence teamed up with his friend Jack Larrabee, and that is where we are checking off right now to see what Jack and Laurence are going to do. So let's get into it with Chapter 8 titled Searching for Motives. The previous night, Jack and Laurence arrived back at Lawrence's house, the house still being ransacked from the SWAT invading the house the day before. Jack and Grey had just found an empty spot on the floor and slept there all night. Grey awoke to find Larrabee studying his laptop. "Oh, Larry, glad you're up," Jack said. "Laurence, Jack, not Larry," said Grey. "Yes, of course," replied Jack. "Now take a look at my research." Grey moved to his computer that Jack was typing away at. "What's all this?" queried Grey. Jack clicked on the mouse a few more times. "I was just going through your checking account history and—" What the heck are you looking at that for?" demanded Grey. "How did you even get my account password?" Jack mischievously smiled. He held up a post-it that had a code written on it entitled Checking Account Code. Laurence grimaced, sparking Jack to chuckle, saying, "I'm a lot smarter than you give me credit for. I have a perfect reason for looking at your account. I was checking for any, shall we say, suspicious activity that may have provoked a SWAT." Grey gasped. "How can you even insinuate that I, a police officer, could ever—" I know, Laurence," said Larrabee. "Calm down. There's no harm in checking it, just in case." Laurence inspected the computer screen. "Well, you've gone through all my transactions for the last 2 months, and I doubt the SWAT would burst in like that for something I did more than later than before. Seems like you're at a dead end." Jack clicked on a few things. "Not quite, Larry. Here's your email usage history. Perhaps someone hacked into your computer and sent a threatening email to the SWAT." "Perhaps," said Grey, but he doubted Jack would find anything. Jack searched all day. Then, at 2 a.m. the next day, Jack called Grey into the room. "Grey," he said, "I think I might have found something. Apparently, you gave your email to a government website. Do you have any idea what that website is?" Right away, Grey knew. It's their top secret one. "What?" asked Jack Larrabee. Grey explained the background on the Roanoke Colony and his involvement with the secret government website, Relocations Agents National. "Well, that don't make sense," said Jack. "What doesn't make sense?" asked Laurence. "Well, all about the website," asked Jack. "I can see why the government would be ticked off about you being on their top-secret website, but man, trying to arrest you and your son? Well, that's just over the top. There must be something else." "There is, Jack," said Grey, as he looked down inside. "I haven't told anyone about this. Not Mac at the library, not Jason, not you. I mean, it was only 2 days ago, but—" "Yeah, Laurence, what is it?" asked Jack. "It's what I did on the website, not just being on it. I found out something that I shouldn't have. You know about how, like, on the 6 o'clock news, they mentioned that there was something called the Fourth Colony, right?" asked Grey. "Yeah, I heard about it," responded Jack. "Okay, good. Because, hey, what are you looking at?" Jack's eyes had shifted his view to behind Grey. Laurence turned around to find himself staring down the barrel of a handgun, wielded by a very tall man in a thin suit, wearing sunglasses. Just as Grey was about to protest, the man whipped out an ID badge. "Agent Keeler, FBI, put your hands on your head," he demanded. But Laurence wasn't about to stand for yet another arrest attempt. "Now, just a minute! You haven't even told me what I'm guilty of!" Agent Keeler didn't flinch. "Doesn't matter. I can hold you up to 48 hours without cause. Besides, it'll give you an opportunity to see your son." "How dare you hold my son!" roared Grey as he swung at Keeler. The agent evaded the punch and shot Grey in the knee. "Ah!" About to pass out from the pain, Laurence Grey's world soon faded to black. Grey slowly awoke to find himself in what was apparently an operating room. The room was all gray with bright, long lights. No one else was in the room. It was all windowless, with only the bed Grey was on being the only object in the room. In short, a dreary place. Grey began to get out of the bed, and then noticed the many cords that were attached to him from the bed. Bracing himself for the imminent pain, Grey quickly grabbed all the cords and yanked them out of his body. Following a sharp sting in multiple places, a shrill alarm, complete with red strobe lights, began to sound. Within seconds, 4 SWAT soldiers burst in through a door Gray had not noticed. The SWAT roughly grabbed Laurence and dragged him down a long hallway. The hallway had many doors, all unmarked, on both sides. The SWAT team took Gray through double doors that were at the end of the hallway. They then threw Laurence on the ground. One soldier said, "Here he is, General Farragut. We caught him trying to escape." A tall black leather chair slowly swiveled around to reveal the general. "Well, Laurence Grey," the general said in a condescending tone, "I was about to summon you, but I see you found your way here." "What do you want?" demanded Grey. "What have you done with my son?" Farragut chuckled evilly. "He's being held at a top-secret FBI base, along with your friend Jack Larrabee." Grey struggled with the 2 soldiers holding him. "Release them! I demand they be freed! I am a U.S. Hartford, Connecticut police officer!" "Well, Laurence, don't scare me," taunted Farragut. "You of all people should know that we can basically do whatever we want. Besides, we'll release your son and your friend quite soon as you complete a little errand for us." "Well, what can I do that you guys can't?" pressed Grey. Farragut smiled. "You'll find out soon enough." Grey was taken out of SWAT headquarters and, after being blindfolded, taken to the top-secret base that General Farragut was talking about. After an hour-long ride in a black SUV, the blindfold was removed, and Grey and his guard boarded a stealth plane. 4 hours later, the guard put the blindfold back on Grey, and they escorted him out of the plane. Grey didn't know where he was, but since the weather was extremely arid, he knew it was somewhere southwest. Suddenly, it became much colder and darker, marking Grey's passage into a climate-controlled area. The guards made sure Grey knew they were armed, and reminded Grey quite often by jabbing him with their guns. Laurence sat down in a chair, finally, the blindfold again removed. Grey immediately surveyed his surroundings. He was in a small conference room painted with depressing shades of dark gray and black. He was sitting at a rectangular table on one end. On both sides and at the other end sat a total of 7 military personnel. Grey could tell that the man across from him at the other end of the table was the leader of the gathering, since the man was middle-aged compared to the others who were in their 30s. Also, more importantly, the man was very highly decorated. Grey guessed the man was a general or higher. After about 30 seconds of awkward silence, Grey started to say, "So, can you tell me—" "Silence!" thundered an officer, whom Laurence immediately recognized as FBI agent Keeler. "You will only speak to 5-star General Sheldon only when spoken to." General Sheldon raised a hand. "It's all right, Keeler. No one follows the rules that strictly." General Sheldon turned to Grey. "Do not be deceived by this conversation, or my ill-gotten last name, that I am a softy. No, Grey, I am as hard as they come, so you better answer all my questions with speed and accuracy." "Of course, General," replied Grey. "But, pray tell, can you tell me where the heck I am?" "Well, the Groom Lake Base in Nevada," intoned the General, "otherwise known as Area 51. Grey sat in confused silence. Was this guy nuts? Intending to say something like, "What kind of idiot do you think I am?" Grey instead weakly offered, "Excuse me?" General Sheldon smiled coldly. "You heard me. And don't bother trying to tell anyone. We already took your phone, and your Bluetooth, and your GPS, and—" "Yes, General, I get it," interrupted Grey. The General seemed tiffed at the interruption, but nevertheless continued. "You're here for a reason, Grey. A very important one. You knowing your location was only to keep your mind off wandering about it, and to keep you focused on your main task." "Which is?" prompted Grey. The General seemed to revel in Lawrence's confusion. "In time, Larry, in time. Let's work up to that point. We have a lot to talk about." General Sheldon turned to the others. "Agents, you are dismissed. Report to me at 2300. All the agents left, so Grey and the General were alone in the room, save a lone bodyguard standing in front of the door. Grey knew it could be a very, very long day. Elsewhere, Jason awoke to find himself in a drab, windowless room, much like the room that Grey awoke in. He turned and saw his dad's friend, Jack Larrabee, on a nearby bed, just like Jason was. "Come on, old man, wake up," demanded Jason as he got out of bed. "We need to get out of here. Dad's gone, and I don't know where the heck we are." Larrabee barely stirred. Jason rolled his eyes. "Dang it, oldie, we don't have all day." Larrabee got up and stared at Jason in annoyance. "Do you talk to your father that way?" Jason ignored what Jack said and then mentioned some things to Jack that aren't worth printing in this book. Jack took all of that very well and said, "Look, I know you're a little upset we're being held captive, maybe a little scared. Well, I'm scared too, but we'll get through this together, and I promise you, you will see your dad again." "So how do we plan to escape?" asked the now calm Jason. "I assume the door's locked, and there's no windows or anything." Jack motioned upward and said, "I wouldn't say too much if I were you." Jason looked up to discover a security camera hidden on the ceiling, painted to blend in with its surroundings. Seeing the camera got Jason angry again. "What do you want, you SWAT thugs? You have no right to hold us here. Leave us alone." And with that, Jason jumped up onto his bed and with a flying leap managed to grab the security camera. His weight immediately broke the camera off its mount and it came crashing down and burst into 1,000 pieces. Jason quickly stomped on the pieces a few times for insurance, then smugly looked to Jack. "That'll teach them for spying on us." Back at Area 51, Laurence Grey was infuriated. Why wouldn't General Sheldon just spit the information out and get it over with? "Seriously, General," said Laurence, "can we just skip the build-up and get right to it?" "You tell me," said the General. "You're the international terrorist around here." That made Grey's blood boil. "Why does the entire army think I'm a horrible criminal?" The General smiled, as he always did, to make the other person feel awkward and make them wonder what the heck he was saying. "Perhaps potential criminal is more the right word. With the kind of information you have obtained, you could take over the country, the world even." "What information?" fumed Grey. "How many times do I have to scream it to you people that I am innocent?" The General shook his head. "You just won't give in, will you? Fine. Let's all pretend you forgot what you did. Let me refresh your memory. You accessed, or shall I say, hacked into, a top-secret government website. Ring any bells?" Grey nodded. "I remember. The Area 51 site." "I'm glad you remember," says 5-star General Sheldon, "because I'll be asking you a lot of questions. The first of which, how did you break into an FBI top-secret website?" Grey hesitated, so Sheldon jumped back in. "Because I was checking your background, and I can't find any record of you studying computers. So how did you possess the knowledge to hack in?" "Well, that's just it, General," replied Laurence. "I don't really know computers. I stumbled upon the website. I just typed in Roanoke plus Crotone equals RAN, and it popped up." The General furrowed his brows, trying to figure out how such a horrendous security error could ever be made. Concluding that the damage had already been done, Sheldon continued with his questions. "So you broke into our site, or just found it, whatever. Well, the information on that site is extremely classified. So how much did you see? And who did you tell it?" Grey took a deep breath and began. "Well, first, the computer said, 'Welcome to the home of RAN, Relocations Agents National.' Immediately, when I clicked on a provided link, a large blueprint popped up with strange designs on it. Then I continued." Wait. "What did you think the blueprint was for?" interrupted Sheldon. "Did it strike you as strange?" Grey hesitated a moment and then said, "Well, I suppose it looked a little out of the ordinary." General Sheldon could tell Grey was hiding something, and he was determined to get it out of him. "There were plenty of labels on that blueprint, Grey. Are you going to tell me what you saw, or am I going to have to drag it out of you?" Grey sighed. "Fine. It is a blueprint for, and this is ridiculous, a time machine. That can't really be what it's for, right?" Sheldon smiled in his evil way. "Oh, Laurence, you are just on the cusp of the biggest discovery of the world." Whoa, that is a great way to end chapter 14. What, a time machine? Is that what Grey saw on that website? What does it have to do with this general, and why do they care that he knows about it? Is it just for security reasons, or is there more to it? Well, you're just going to have to find out in chapter 15. It's just going to get better and better, guys. I'll see you then.